Hello, Algebra 1 students. For Mr. Fry, we're looking at the linear equations test. I'm here to give you accommodations and interventions, clarify some things for you, and let's get started. It says, for the following problems, write a linear equation in slope-intercept form and graph the lines. So, for number one, write a linear equation for a line that passes through the following points. I went ahead and labeled these points my x1, y1, x2, y2. And remember, for the slope, to figure out the slope, you are going to take y2 minus y1 and put that over x2 minus x1. That's your slope, m. So that's what this is going to be. And then you could put your x and y values in there. Pick any x and y values that you would like to figure out. You could use the x1 and y1 since this is the first ones, or you could use these. It doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer as you move through that equation in order to figure out what the y-intercept is, and you'll be able to figure that out with that information. And then go ahead and graph that. This would be your y-intercept, whatever this number ends up being, and then you have your slope, whatever this ended up being on a graph paper. Number two, write a linear equation for a line that has a slope of -1/3 and a y-intercept located at the coordinate 0, 4. Okay, so using y equals mx plus b, here's your m. Just plug that in. And here's your b, right there. That's just the 4. So you could go on the graph paper and find where the line crosses the y-axis at 4, and then just put your next point down 1/3. And so you could graph that. Number 3, convert the following equation into a linear equation in slope-intercept form. In other words, you want to get y by itself on one side of the equation. Okay, so you're going to add 3x to both sides, and then you're going to divide everything by 6. That would get y by itself. Hopefully you're pausing this and slowing it down as I'm just reading through it, moving forward. I'm just hoping that you take your time through this. No way you could do it this fast. Given a description of the following scenarios, write a linear equation that will represent each scenario occurring in the described situation. So remember, you're using y equals mx plus b for a linear equation. So suppose that the water level of a river is 34 feet, and when it is receding at a rate of 1/2 foot or 0.5 foot per day. Write an equation for the water level L after D days. Okay, so you're going to think of this equation. This would be your y-intercept. This would be your slope. Okay, but you're going to have to substitute in the water level L after so many days, after D days. Okay. For number 5, attorney A charges a fixed fee of $250 for an initial meeting and $150 per hour for all hours worked after that. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. Attorney B charges $150 for the initial meeting and $175 per hour. Write an equation for both attorneys. So I've marked your B's, your y-intercepts, and I've marked your slopes. Okay, and you're just going to plug those in. You're just writing an equation. There's nothing really to solve there. You're just writing the equation. For 4 or 5, all of these, you're just writing equations. It's going to be y equals m, but you're going to substitute, you're going to put in an m, and you're going to put in a b. And I'm telling you what the m's and b's are. Very easy. Number 6, a water tank already contains 55 gallons of water when Baxter begins to fill it. The water flows into the tank at a rate of 8 gallons per minute. Write a linear equation to model this situation. So once again, there's your m, there's your b. Just plug those in. Number 7, a video rental store charges $20 membership fee and $250 per each video rented. Write and graph a linear equation, y equals mx b, to model the situation. So here's your m, there's your b, okay, and then you would just graph that. This would be your y-intercept, and then this would be your b. So you can figure out how much it would be after how many videos and adding that monthly charge to. All right, for the following problems, convert the equation into point slope form or standard form. For some problems, it may be necessary to convert it to slope intercept form after point slope form. So the first one, write an equation in point slope form of a line that passes through 8, -3, and has the slope of -5. So this is your formula. You're just going to plug that in for m, and I already labeled your x1 and y1. Be careful, that's a -3. So when you subtract a -3, that's going to change it to a positive. And all you're doing is writing it in slope intercept form. Or, I'm sorry, point slope form. You're just writing it in point slope form. There's nothing to solve really there. That's all you're doing. For number 9, write an equation in point slope form. You're just writing an equation of a line that passes through these points. Okay, in order to get the slope, to figure out the slope, you got to take your y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, and I labeled them for you. Here's your sub 1s, here's your sub 2s. Okay? Figure out that m. And then you could take your x1 and y1 from here and just plug them in there. And there you have your equation. You're just writing equation, nothing to figure out really. Number 10, write the following linear equation in standard form. So you're going to want it to look like this. Some number x plus some number b. This should be a y. Y, put x's. Equals c. So in other words, this one you're just going to move over here. You're going to subtract 2x from both sides. And then you'll be there. Number 11, write the following linear equation in standard form. Okay, this one, you want to get the y over here, so you're going to just subtract 4y from both sides. Okay, it's actually going to not go there, it's going to kind of go here. Okay, because you want the x and y to be in the correct order. Number 12, convert the equation from problem 9, this one, into slope intercept form and then graph it. So you're going to want to get it to this where the y is by itself on one side. Okay? And so get the y by itself on one side of the equation. Okay? And then you could graph it. You use what's over here, that's c, that becomes the b, the y-intercept. And then, use the slope to get another dot, and you've got it graphed. Okay, for the following problems, find the x and y intercepts for each equation, and then create a graph for the line. So what we're going to do here is, first of all, to find the x-intercept, you're going to set y to 0. And so when that's 0, it just becomes 3x equals 36. So divide both sides by 3, and you're going to get your x. Your y-intercept, that's when x is 0. 3 times 0 is 0, so you're just going to have 12y equals 36. So take 36 divided by 12, or divide both sides by 12. That's going to be 36 divided by 12, that's going to be your y. Okay, so remember when you're graphing these, this is your y-axis, this is your x-axis. So whatever this x says, you're going to put a dot there, And for wherever the y says, whatever your y works out to be, you're going to put a dot on the y-axis. And then you're just going to, draw a line. And that's going to be how you're going to graph it. Okay? This is not the answer. You have to figure out the exact numbers and put those numbers in your graph. And I don't know if you're using graph paper or not. 14, same thing. Okay? Set your y to 0 to figure out your x. Set your x to 0 to figure out your y. Okay, so this one's going to be 4y equals 24. This one's going to be -2x equals 24. That's the next step. And then 15, your last one, you're going to set your y to 0 to figure out your x. So it's going to be 17x equals 51. So divide both sides by 17, you get x. This one, you're going to set your x to 0 to figure out your y. So you're going to have 16y equals 51. Okay, and then you'll figure out your y. And it would be 51 divided by 16. All right, hopefully this helps, and good luck with the test.